Today I accomplished something that I thought would probably take a significant portion of the rest of my life to complete. And I wanted to share this story with you because it's kind of interesting if you ask me. But I might be the only one that thinks it's cool. So last September, my friend Jody and I worked in the cemetery, and we worked on a headstone for a man named Hasten Ellsworth. Now, Hasten Ellsworth, he was kind of hard to research, and although had to use a couple different avenues to find some information on him, I was able to locate a newspaper article that said he was the third sheriff of Midland County, and he actually took the first prisoner from Midland County to the state prison in Jackson, and he took him by horse and sleigh. Took several days to do the round trip and stuff. It was kind of an interesting story. But throughout my research, I found quite a few other interesting things about him. He was actually one of a group of men that came to Midland from Saginaw. They came up the river in a canoe, and they christened the spot where Henry Ashman drove the stake for our first courthouse in 1855. And apparently they brought a bottle of champagne. Once the stake was driven into the ground, they broke the champagne bottle over the stake, and then they had a champagne party afterwards. So kind of an interesting story. But the most interesting part of this story, and the part that I wanted to share with you, is this. Our city website, our actually county website, listed Horace Ellsworth as the sheriff from 1861 to 1862. Now, I just happened across that because I was interested to see if there was a history of our sheriff's office online or something, So when I found that, I thought, I wonder who this Horace Ellsworth was. Well, come to find out, there was an actual Horace Ellsworth here in Midland. He didn't come here until after 1865, after the Civil War, because he was a soldier in the Civil War. And he never served in a public office. So I contacted the Midland County Sheriff, Myron Green, talked to him a little bit. We exchanged emails back and forth. Ended up talking to the county clerk. It kind of didn't go anywhere, really. I sent some information, and that was pretty much all I heard. So today, I decided to go to the Register of Deeds office, and I was researching something completely different. But while I was there, I saw a book that said Sheriff Sales Record Book. Now, for those of you that don't know what a sheriff's sale is, it's basically a repossession of a property. Back in the old days, the sheriff was responsible for repossessing on past due mortgages and things like that. So the sheriff would go and repossess the property, and then he in turn would auction it off or sell it to whoever was interested in buying it, or the highest bidder, whichever was the case. Well, that made a light bulb go off in my head. I wonder if these sheriff sales records have the sheriff's name. Just by chance, I know that sheriff sales happened all the way back to the very beginning of property ownership in this county, because people bought property and then it didn't work out, so they defaulted on their mortgage and got repossessed. So I went to the oldest Liber Index that we had, which was 1855 to 1860, I believe. And I happened to find where the Midland County Sheriff was the grantee of a piece of property. And the grantee is the person that accepts the property. So there was a transaction between the person that owned the property and the sheriff, who then received the property from that person in basically foreclosure. And right at the top, it says, this indenture made the 23rd day of May in the year of our Lord 1859 between Hasten M. Ellsworth, sheriff of the county of Midland in the state of Michigan, of the first part, and Esther Warden of St. Clair in the St. Clair County in the state of Michigan, of the second part. So, for those of you that didn't catch it maybe, it says Hasten M. Ellsworth, sheriff of Midland County, Michigan. I could not have been happier when I read those words, that I'm actually able to give this man the credit that he's due for the service that he provided. So I contacted the Midland County Sheriff, and there is a little bit more that's going to go on here, because the website, the county website, they have a history of the sheriff's department, and it says that Hasten was sheriff 1861 to 1862. And for those of you that may not have heard correctly, this says May 1859. So there is some definite digging into the records that needs to be done, and I'm going to have to do it, I guess, because I just can't go on knowing that these records are incorrect, or that the official record online isn't correct. So anyways, thanks for listening to this story if you're still here, and thanks for hanging out, and I'm looking forward to this year. This year is going to be very exciting. Got a lot of things in the works, and hopefully going to be restoring some headstones here very shortly.